Hi guys, and welcome to my review of two Truthear products. This time I bring you the Truthear Hola, which is a single dynamic driver. It's their latest offering and priced at just under $20. And I bring you also the Truthear Shio, which is a portable DAC amp using a Cirrus Logic CS43198 DAC or chip. Sorry. Anyway, I'm going to talk to you first about the Shio. I don't usually do a lot of reviews I don't usually talk a lot about DAC amps, dongles, and the electronic equipment, let's put it that way. But I am planning this year now to change that, and I've already got some nice stuff lined up to review for you guys. But this one, being the first one, I took the opportunity to compare it with a few other dongles that I have, and it's how can I say, once you've listened to a lot of dongles and a lot of DACs and chips and so on and so forth, although it is incorrect for me to say that they have a particular signature, it's not too incorrect to say that obviously, assuming certain base parameters of equality, you will notice slight differences from one dongle to another dongle using different chips. Obviously, the integration of that chip into the circuit is also a determining factor. But having said that and making this perfectly clear, before I continue, there is certain things that you notice, and when you listen to a ESS DAC. For example, if you listen to a better one like the 9281 on the Q-Style M15, which is kind of my reference, you notice a detailed, clean. It's a fully textured, mature sound that rivals, in my opinion, quite a few desktop units. It sounds very grown up. It's detailed. You listen to an AK, a 4490, or your 43. Oh my God, I had a blank now. A 4493, and you noticed straight away that it's a slightly warmer tonality, slightly warmer timbre. Again, the overall circuitry will determine if it's more or less polished in the high end, but it's just slightly warmer. And when you listen to the Cirrus Logic stuff, the 43131 or the 43198, and from what I understand, the difference between the two between the two resides solely on the fact that one has a built-in amp, which is the 131, and the 198 doesn't have an amp. But the circuitry for the DAC has been more polished up, so it's a slightly higher quality. And when you listen to the Cirrus Logic chips, you also notice a certain sound which is more clinical, more detailed. Take that with a grain of salt. They are all detailed. So ESS chips usually are more clinical, more cold. The AKM chips usually a little bit warmer, more cozy kind of, and the CS is kind of the in between, let's put it that way. And when I grabbed the Shio, the first thing straight away, and here's the actual unit, by the way. It's a very nice, small. It's got this kind of breaks the norm of the finish it's got like kind of this leatherish imitation finish. Volume button, which if you press at the same time, you can commute between high gain and low gain, 4.4 and 3.5. It's rated at 150 milliwatts in the balanced output and 55 in the single-ended, so enough power. Obviously, you don't expect to power full-size planar headphones for this thing, but it with IEMs and putting aside some hybrids or some tribrids that I have and one or two planars, it did a good job, and is a dongle which will match very nicely with certain IEMs, but I'll get to that in a second. Anyway, as I was saying, you do feel a certain type of sound. And the moment I put on I started using the the Shio, the thing that immediately was very easy to come up, to notice, was very there. It's there. It's very clean. It's very detailed, but it's a cleanliness and a detail which is not colored. It's very neutralish sounding. It's very natural. There's almost a sense of I'm trying to see if I can find here an analogy. You have when I sometimes refer myself to the old school sound, you have an old school sound which is valve based, and you have an old school sound which is transistor based, and then you have the more digital kind of sound which started appearing with the Class D amplifiers and so on and so forth. This has got kind of an old school sound, transistor based. Okay, it's got it's detailed, it's clean, but it's very, very, very analog at the same time. There's a certain amount of richness in the way that it does its transients, in the way that it does how can I say, it's just very, you don't feel that you are listening to something this small. Let me put it to you this way. You don't. You feel that you're listening to, honestly, you feel that you're listening to a nice desktop unit. And in quite a few occasions, and I momentarily did some listening with my DX3 Pro, there were occasions where I was actually surprised at how well it was keeping up with my DX3. Obviously, when you crank up the volume, the DX3's got way more power, so you notice that. But in terms of pure sound quality, it was very surprising how it was able to keep up with the DX3. There's no you can see that there's nothing, bass is not overpowering the mids or powering the treble. Everything is just very balanced. There's a nice harmony that makes the sound very smooth, very crisp, very easy to listen to, and conveys a sense of high quality, of high detail. That for the $65 that you pay for this, in my opinion, makes it a very, very solid option to the more usually people choose a Tempo Tech or go for iBasso at this kind of price, and honestly, this keeps up with all of them very nicely. You have to spend a hell of a lot more money to truly find something that will outdo the Shio in terms of sound quality. Okay, so overall, I honestly think that it's a solidly built unit. It's got very nice mature sound, very capable of powering all of the IEMs that I actually have in front of me for the Hola test, and a lot of other IEMs. I also just went through with them to just see how good it was, and it's solid for $60. If you want something that plays well, this is a solid option. There's really nothing to falter with it. Anyway, that's, I think, enough for the Shio. Basically given a basic solid overview for it. Let's talk about what we want to now know, and which I usually do in more detail, which is the Hola. And first of all, what can I say about the Hola? Well, the Hola is the third IEM that Truthear launches. The first, as you guys remember, is the Zero, which was a dual dynamic at 10 and a 7.8, if I'm not mistaken. And if memory serves me right, then they launched the Hexa, which was a 1+3, and now they launch the Hola, which from what I understand uses a liquid crystal dome diaphragm, so LCP driver of sorts, It uses a 3D printed shell, which is becoming more and more the norm and allows for a lot of cost saving while providing a very high-end finish. The driver itself is an 11mm driver, so it's a little bit bigger than the usual. But the whole thing, you look at the whole IEM and it oozes quality. It oozes a price much higher than what it actually has. It's got nice details, like you see how the left and right are there engraved, detachable cable. It's just a very nicely put together IEM, which has it's got very much that kind of moondrop vibe going for it. And really nothing to falter. It fits well in my ears. I had no issues with that. It's not heavy, so there's no fatigue. And the way that I'm actually able to deep fit it nicely, it actually goes inside of my ear canal quite nicely, and it kind of just disappears. So pretty easy if I want to sleep with them. It didn't really bother me, and I think it won't bother most people. Overall, really a nice, pleasant IEM. With regards to what it brings in terms of accessories, I'll just show you quickly. I mean, basic packaging, so don't expect the world, but it brings an ample array of tips. As I said, I'm not using these tips just because I found that they collapsed a little bit easier than normal. Little carry pouch, again, nothing special. The cable as well, I actually don't have the cable here with me to show you. The cable is a very basic affair, nothing special really. And yeah, that's it. I mean, the graph, which when I show you the graph in a second, you'll see that it actually kind of is basically what they say it is. And that's it. I mean, simple, effective, well put together, well priced. Let's talk about the sound. Let's compare it to what I have in front here of me to talk about. What did I select to start with? I selected IEMs which are all my apologies. I selected IEMs which are all priced at around the $20 price range. There are, however, two which are significantly lower than $20 and one which is a little bit higher than $20. Actually, it's here because I was just able to see it at $27, and that's why I actually ended up including it in this little selection here. So I've got the first of, let's say, the more well-tuned budget IEMs, which is the Chew. This is my own Chew. Well, I've got two of them, but this is one which I modified to take a cable. So keep in mind that this is a fixed cable. Had a metal shell. It was nice, it fit nicely. Had a very nice detailed sound. Mids amazing, and really nice. This was a really nice IEM when it came out. However, it was quickly supplanted by the 7Hz Zero. And although they share the exact same driver, it's exactly the same driver with 99% the same sound. The timbre on the Zero, for some reason, and I'm assuming it's because of the shell being a plastic resin, conferred a slightly nicer kind of tonality to the bass, and so a lot of the thinness that was associated with the Chew was taken away. Next to the 7Hz, I've got the Tangzhou One Ear, which is kind of like the ultimate go-to safe option right now at around $20. A significant upgrade over the, in my opinion, over the Xinmin Li. Doesn't use the same driver according to Tangzhou, but the tuning was done in a more let's say satisfying manner. Obviously, there are things which there are certain corners that were cut, and the one corner that was cut is, although the build is not bad, it's a nice plastic shell. and in black it actually confers it more of a solid look than in the white. When you see the fact that you have the shoe and you have now the Hola, which are resin 3D printed shells and so on and so forth, this kind of loses out a little bit. But anyway, that's me just nitpicking here. The reality is that this is $20, so you can't expect the world. And what you do get with the 1 year is a very, very nice sound. Very, very capable, super detailed, super dynamic, way more bass than the previous two that I just talked about, and as such, more of an all-rounder, more capable of being an IEM that you could use for some monitoring if you wanted, an IEM capable of listening to some EDM if you felt like it, but also capable of listening to some classic music. Okay, that's it. And then I've got the CXS, the CCA here, because although it has a slight little flaw in regards to the sound when I compare it to the EDA balanced and I compare it to the EDX Ultra, the fact that they offer this shell and they can offer this for $20, I mean, it's a winner for me. At this price of $20, there is nothing that comes close to the quality of the shell, the hardware that CCA KZ offers us is the best. It is $20. It's the best. No one even comes close. The Hola is a very solid attempt, but it's a resin shell. It's not metal, and for me, metal still comes out on top. What's the sound of the CSX? It's a more KZ kind of signature, more bass heavy, but it's fun, it's engaging, and it only loses its composure when you really start, either really cranking the volume and certain areas of the spectrum start jumping out at you and become a little bit less composed. Okay, the next one is the QKZ, the HV collaboration. Let's say the bass monster out of all of these that's over here. Then the one that shouldn't be here, but because I saw the price at $27, I said to myself, well, you know what, I'm going to include it, which is the 10i-Fi, the C2, and this is a really, really good idea. I have to admit that in my initial impressions of it, I wasn't too impressed. I wasn't kind of too convinced, but once I really gave it time and started listening to it with more detail, let it have a little bit more brain burn. This is good. This is really good. The build on this thing is top notch. It's built way better than many IEMs, 2-3 times its price. So built, it's top notch. It's got kind of a campfire vibe going for it. Uses an LCP NPU driver. Nice, really nice. You can't falter it really. At the price, you can't really falter it. And the final one that I have here is the Tension Zero, which is the cheapest one of this bunch, $14. And the reason why it's here is because of the sound. I honestly wish the Tension would listen to what I'm about to say. Whatever magic you did here, okay, do it in a normal shell, put a detachable cable on it, make it for $25 and sell them by the ton, because in terms of sound it is amazing. And if more people don't get it, it's because they can't get it to fit properly, because the fit is horrible, and because you got so many other options which in that department just supplant the Zero. Why would you go buy this? Why? So please, Tension, make this into a nice normal common shell. Do this. Leave the cavity inside as it is in here, because that's where the secret is for the sound. But externally, let it have a normal shell like all of these. Okay, put a detachable cable on it, and start and bring in the money, because I'm sure you're in this business to make money, and I don't think that this was as successful as it could be. Honestly, I don't. But anyway, let's talk about the Hola and the sound. And I'm not going to rant. The sound of the Hola is in every way as detailed as you have in the Zero from 7 Hertz, as you had in the True, but it's got bass. And by having bass, and by keeping everything balanced and everything more tonally correct, straight away these two are eliminated. There is absolutely nothing that these two can do that outshines the Hola. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Timbre and tonality in here is perfect. The pin again is nice and smooth. It's not abrupt, so everything just comes across very smoothly. Female vocals, male vocals, everything is top notch. Really nothing to be faulted. There's no bleed into the mids. Look, as a fellow reviewer mentioned, well, HBB mentioned, this and what I'm about to say is something which is got. I mean, you guys know what I think of that Moondrop Aria. I think it's one of the safest and one of the best options under $100. I really do. And even though it might now be outdated, I mean, it was launched in 2021 and all of that, and it had QC issues and blah blah blah. The truth is, it's a nice sounding IM. It's better than the Starfield. It's better than the KXSS, in my opinion. It's a solidly built IM that was well tuned, is well tuned, and plays well. This keeps up with the Aria and actually beats the Aria, okay? Because it costs a quarter roughly of what the Aria costs. So if I look at the fact that this costs $20 and the Aria costs $80, this is a winner. When I compare sound with sound, I mean, honestly, it's very, very hard to tell the difference. Very hard. Ultimately, the Aria maybe just a little bit more note weight in the bass, and as well, maybe again a little bit extra cleanliness in the highs. But in the mids, where the Aria is, shining, this keeps up easily, no issues. So, it's amazing to see how much the market has improved and has grown, and how the certain segments of the market, especially this segment, has improved. I mean, you getting for $20 the performance of an IM that 2 years ago cost $80. How can you go wrong? Amazing, period. That's the way I look at it, So the ones that benefit is us, not only me as a reviewer, but us, the community, the consumers in general. They benefit from that. I don't think that formula has been applied in the same way at other price ranges. I don't. I feel that the IMs above $500 have become ridiculously priced for the performance they are offering. But that's a topic for another time. When it comes to this price range of under 20, under 50, under 100, under $200, what you're able to get in performance is absolutely mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. I mean, look at Planars. You are getting out of a $100. I'm not even going to go $100. You're getting out of a PR1 Pro from KZ, which costs $80. You are getting a performance which is better than Audi's. Period. I don't need to say anymore. So yeah, in terms of the bass, it's beautifully done, beautifully executed. Mids, highs, everything. In terms of its technicalities, imaging is good. Imaging is the better of between imaging and the soundstage. Soundstage could be a little bit wider, but it's fine. I'm not going to nitpick. Like I said, we're talking $20. Detail retrieval, perfect. Nothing wrong with detail retrieval. Layering, texture, all of that, again, perfect for the price. Really, nothing to be said there. Okay, so those two are out of the way. As compared then to these here, Okay, compared to the CXS, the whole idea of the tuning is different. So it's not even fair to compare because the main focus is different. And I would consider these two side grades. These three are similar. Well, these four here are similar in terms of their tuning. This is also similar in terms of its tuning. This will also ultimately integrate itself into this group here of the Shio 7 Hertz, 0, 1 ear, and Hola. So this is more of a side grade, and I'm going to leave it at that. There's no point in me, beating on it. Compared to the KZ, again, the same situation as with the CCA. It's a side grade. It's two different kind of IEMs. If I'm a person that wants versatility, then this is the more complete one. Both the CXS and the HBB, the QKZ, they are IEMs which will be more for those that like EDM and like rap and like rock. They won't do as good when it comes to stuff which has a lot of vocals and classical. They won't. It's not what their idea design was for. Okay, so that's also out of the way. Let's now compare it to the 1 year and then the other 2 years which are left. As compared with the Hola, the Tantrum 0. It is better in terms of build. It is, it's just there alone. It will justify you taking this over that, as it's a safer option. However, and this is going to maybe come across as a bold statement from my side, to my ears, and to what I listen to, I found these two to be very, very equal in terms of their sound. Although when you graphically look at it, you don't see that. For me, the 0 is a better option than those two there, than the Shio and the 7 Hertz. It just loses out to them because of the physical aspect of it. But in terms of sound, more satisfying sound than those two, unquestionably. Compared to the Hola, as I mentioned, physically, the physical part of it, the hardware side, it loses out. Sound-wise, I think it's another possible side grade. It's a very good sounding IEM, very, very good sounding IEM. So I think that's enough. I don't really need to elaborate too much. The only area where I think this maybe doesn't shine as much as the Hola is in the extreme treble. So the upper range, this is a little bit more darker sounding. Okay, that's that. Next to the 1 year, these two are for the most part and up to a certain volume level identical to each other. Where, in my opinion, this then edges out the 1 year is in that area there of 2, 3, 4K. Because of the more progressive way in which the pinna gain is done here in the Hola, it is not as forward, it's not as in your face, and it just makes for an easier sounding IEM when you start pushing the volume. So it scales, in my opinion, better than the 1 year. Okay. In terms of build, the Hola takes the prize again. So overall, depending on what you as a listener want, okay, I personally would opt for the Hola. That's me personally. It's got a sound which is more to my liking. In terms of bass, the dynamics of the bass, sub bass, the slam, everything is very identical. In terms of ultimate extension as well, everything is very identical. It's just in that area there of the 2, 3, 4K. The way in which the pinna gain is done here just confers a certain forwardness, which for me, I'm more comfortable with the Hola. It's the same situation that happened with the original Shimin Lee and this. The original Shimin Lee had a forwardness in that area, which was just too much. And when I actually retuned it, I retuned it to something which is like this, okay? And on its own, it's way, I mean, this is miles ahead of the Shimini in that aspect. But when you compare it to the Hola, you notice again that it's still a little bit too forward, for me at least, okay, for me at least. But again, it's not a question of this is better, that is worse. I'm just pointing out the very obvious things. Better construction, or more solid build construction, and the overall sound signature for me is more pleasing, more satisfying. Finally, the tin, the C2. These are identical, basically. I really struggled, I honestly struggled to see a difference, or to hear a difference rather, in the sound. I really did. I really struggled. Built is on both is excellent. Personally, because I like metal, I would take the tin. Of course, at this price, I mean, okay, fine, I found this at $27. This, I've seen it at 17 and 18, so it's still a $10 difference, which you might not think it's a lot, but it's a significant difference. In terms of accessories, they are basically very evenly matched. This is a tough one, guys. Honestly, this is really a tough one. If you have this, you have no need for this. If you have this, that will not be an upgrade. Let's put it that way, and I'll leave it at that. But in terms of sound, they are very equal. I mean, same type of bass extension, bass slam, cleanliness of the vocals, mids, males, female vocals. Perhaps, yeah, just a little bit more liveliness on the female vocals, just a little bit more. Timbre and tonality on both excellent. I would say that the imaging here as well is a little bit better than here. But again, and always keep in mind, that's with what I hear. I could give you some examples of where I saw that difference. For example, Moon River from Jacinta, exactly. On here, you notice, when that of the lips, you notice it a little bit extra more clean than you do here. But that's me, my ears. Maybe you won't see it that way. You won't hear it that way. Touch of Magic from Boris Blank, same. I mean, honestly, nothing. Witchcraft, again, same thing. Soul Persona, the Unconditional from Soul Persona, maybe just a touch more little slam on here than over there. Very minor. Reverend Green from Jeff Lorber, I'll give it to the Hola. Chemistry of Love, Michael Franks, very equal, very equal. Piensa en mí from Luz Casal, beautiful song. I mean, wow, beautiful song. You guys have got to listen to this. I'll put it on my playlist. I've got it on my playlist, but you guys have got to go through it and find it there. Luz Casal, wow. I'll leave it at that. Feel So Good from Diane Reeves, again, a song that difficult, really hard to decide. And that's it. I mean, look, they are both very capable IMs. So yeah, guys, there you have it. We have another very solid option at the $20 range, the Truthear Hola. For me, in my opinion, I actually think this is the best of the Truthears launches up to now. The Zero, I was unlucky with it, but overall, I think this is a more polished tuning, more polished sound. And with regards to the Hexa is a blessing too. It's a baby blessing too. And what by that I'm trying to say is that it's very neutral. It's very correct sounding, but it's a bit bland. It needs a little bit more hot sauce just to sometimes make it a little bit more lively. Anyway, guys, I'll show you quickly now the graphs, and that's it. Okay, take care. Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section for my review of the Truthear Hola. And let me just start taking away stuff here so that we can better understand everything. There we go. Okay. So let's put on the Truthear Hola. There we go, number 16. That's it. Okay. It doesn't really get much nicer than this, honestly. Nice sub-bass focus with very nice glide into the bass. By 300 hertz we flat, so no bleed into the mids. Very progressive, slow peanut gain, peaks at around 4K, close to that. A little dip, and continues dropping. You have a little peak there at 8K, which is a couple of extension past 10K. I mean, this is really, really, really nice. This is how I personally like to see my IEMs tuned as much as possible. I don't mind a little bit more energy in this area here, but this is as good as it gets, just for the sake of comparison. And since I mentioned the fact that this is very similar to the Moondrop aria, let me just show you the aria next to this so that you guys can understand excuse me, why I was saying what I was saying. Okay, and there we go. There we go, that's the aria. I mean, I think it's self-explanatory. Honestly, it's self-explanatory. Out of the way. Let's now start comparing. Quickly, first one, CCA CXS. Definitely a V-shaped signature, as you can see. Loads of bass energy, a more abrupt peanut gain. The only reason why this doesn't sound in any way too in your face is because you got a nice bass to counteract it. However, when you start cranking up the volume, you do feel that things lose a little bit its composure. And ultimately, when compared, for example, to an EDA, which has got a more progressive way of going up this area here in the 2-3K, it sounds just a little bit harsh. But hey, it is what it is. So that's the CCA out of the way. Next one is the 7 hertz, the 13, and very similar in its overall curve and excuse me, sorry guys, and what I was mentioning about the mids and highs being very equal. They are. What the Hola then brings into the equation is this extra little bit amount of bass, which, although when you look at it, you see it's like a 2-3 dB at most. 2 dB, it doesn't seem like much, but in practical terms, when you actually hear it, it sounds way more than what the graph is portraying. All right, next one here. Where is the Moondrop Shio? Don't tell me I took out the Moondrop Shio. Not a problem. We'll just go fetch the Moondrop Shio here quickly. Moondrop Shio. Just change the color. Make it green. There we go. Moondrop Shio. Again, and if you guys remember, I was mentioning it was very similar to the 7 hertz. Well, honestly, there you go. It's the same driver, people. It's the same driver. If there is a certain difference that's slightly perceived in the bass area, okay, it is down to the fact the shell material is different, and that conveys a different resonance, and by conveying a different resonance you just have a different tonality, different timbre. Otherwise it's the same thing. Okay, so when I sometimes hear people say that the Moondrop Shio is well, is outdated in its signature, well, I don't see how. That it should have a removable cable. Yes, I agree that the signature is outdated. I don't really understand why, but anyway, it is what it is. So that's the Shio out of the way. I've shown you the KZ, the CCA. Let me show you now. I've shown you the 7 hertz as well. So that can also go. Let me just put on the oh my god, there we go. Let me put on the Truthears once again. That's the Truthears compared to the Tangzu, the 1 year. Okay, a lot of similarities, as you can see, very similar. just a little bit extra extension up top, which is noticeable. And then the area here that, although graphically you wouldn't think so, and especially because I just said that I actually don't mind when it's a little bit more energetic, is this area here. This area between 2 and 4K in the one ear just sounds a little bit too much, okay, when you compare it obviously with the Hola. And just for the sake of comparison, for you to understand that it's not really an issue there that you would think would exist by looking at the graph. If we take, for example, the case of the Kiwi Ears cadenza, okay, that's the Kiwi Ears cadenza. The Kiwi Ears cadenza also has a energetic, let's say, area there between, you know, the two, also a little bit more energy. And the cadenza, okay, and I didn't talk about the cadenza because the cadenza is priced at already in the $35 range. But the cadenza is another IM which is very, very similar sounding to the Hola. Actually, the cadenza, the Hola, and the tin C2, the tin hi-fi C2 are probably the ones that are the most similar. So anyway, talking about what we need to talk, which is the one ear. The one ear, you don't really notice the difference here. It's not here that you notice the difference in terms of the bass. What you do notice is here, that it's just a little bit more forward, the one ear, as compared to the Hola, and that can sound a little bit more, it's not harsh, it's unpolished. That's the better term, unpolished. So that's that one out of the way. Now compared to the Tanstream 0, and there couldn't be a more different graph, but when you actually listen to it, and this is a testament to what I've said quite a few times before, that graphs don't always say the truth or the total truth. When you actually listen to it, it doesn't feel as forward as the graph here would lead you to believe. That's not what you actually hear, and the bass doesn't sound as thin as well as what you would feel. You know, it's not completely. And then finally, next to the tin hi-fi, the C2, again, the similarities are very, very significant. And this is a case where you do have a little extra energy there, but it's not perceived, and it doesn't. The C2 is smooth and detailed. Okay, it's smooth and detailed. The Hola is smooth, relaxed, and detailed. Let's put it that way. The one ear, and I'll just add on the one ear. Yeah, the one ear is smooth. It's smooth going on to not smooth. I don't even know how to actually put the best terminology for what I'm trying to convey. They all are equally smooth. Let me rephrase this whole thing. They all are equally smooth. The one is smooth and detailed. The other one is smooth, detailed, and clean, and the other one is smooth, detailed, and hard. Okay, and the hard would obviously be the one ear, and you notice it more obviously is when you start pushing the volume, when you start scaling it. Unquestionably, the one that the two that scale the best are the Hola and the C2. The one ear is not the one that scales best out of these three, unquestionably. Anyway, I don't want to carry on rambling here because it's been a really long review. This is the graph once again. Really nice. It's what a nicely tuned single ED, in my opinion, should kind of try to at least look like most of the times. Okay, anyway guys, like and subscribe. Any questions that you guys might have, please feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to answer. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.